The Red Bull Ring is a motorsport circuit in Spielberg, Styria, Austria. The race circuit was founded as Österreichring and hosted the Formula One Austrian Grand Prix for 18 consecutive years, from 1970 to 1987. It was later shortened, rebuilt and renamed the A1 Ring. It hosted the Austrian Grand Prix again from 1997 to 2003. When Formula One outgrew the circuit, a plan was drawn up to extend the layout. Parts of the circuit, including the pits and main grandstand, were demolished, but construction work was stopped and the circuit remained unusable for several years before it was purchased by Red Bull's Dietrich Mateschitz and rebuilt. Renamed the Red Bull Ring, the track was reopened on May 15, 2011 and subsequently hosted a round of the 2011 DTM season and a round of the 2011 F2 Championship. Formula One returned to the circuit in the 2014 season. The old Österreichring was more often referred to as being located at Zeltweg, which is bigger and better known. However, the circuit was never relocated, only modified. In addition, the one-off 1964 Austrian Grand Prix was held at Zeltweg Airfield, so this name was already known. Österreichring. Originally built in 1969 to replace the bland and bumpy Zeltweg Airfield circuit, the Österreichring track was situated in the Styrian mountains and it was a spectacular, scenic and unique circuit. The track was very fast, every corner was a fast sweeper and was taken in no lower than third gear in a 5-speed gearbox and fourth in a 6-speed gearbox, and the track had noticeable changes in elevation during the course of a lap, 65 meters from lowest to highest point. Like most fast circuits, it was a hard circuit on engines but more difficult on tires, because of the speeds being so consistently high. Many consider the Österreichring to be dangerous, especially the Bosch curve, a 180-degree downhill right-hand corner with almost no runoff area which, by 1986 when turbos pushed Formula One engine power to upwards of 1,400 bhp in qualifying, had cars approaching at well over 320 km per hour. There were other testing corners such as Westhügel, which was a flat-out 180 miles per hour right-hander that eventually led to the 150 miles per hour Sebring-Ausputz curve, which was an essential corner to get right because of the long straight afterwards that led to the Bosch curve. Some of the track was just road with little to no protection at all, even up to the final Austrian Grand Prix there in 1987, a race that had to be restarted twice because of two progressively more serious accidents, both caused by the narrow pit straight in a similar manner to the 1985 race when the race was stopped after one lap following a start line shunt that had taken out 3 cars including championship leader Michele Alboreto's Ferrari and local driver Gerhard Berger's Arrows BMW. In practice for the 1987 race, McLaren's Stefan Johansson narrowly avoided serious injury or worse when at over 150 mph he collided with a deer that had made its way onto the track while Johansson was cresting a blind brow before the Jockenrind curve behind the pits. Increasing speeds were also a concern at the Österreichring. During the final Grand Prix there in 1987, pole sitter Nelson Piquet's time for the 5.942 km of 1:23.357 set an average speed record for the circuit of 159.457 mph. At the time it was second only in F1 average speed to Keck Rosberg's 160.9 mph pole lap of the Silverstone circuit set during the 1985 British Grand Prix. Interestingly, both times were set using a turbocharged Williams Honda. American driver Mark Donohue died after crashing at the Westhügel curve in 1975. In 1976, the Westhügel curve was tightened and made into one right-hander rather than 2 right-handers with a small section between, and in 1977 it was slowed down and became the Hellerlicht chicane, going from the fastest to the slowest corner on the track. It is also known that 4-time world champion Alain Prost often said that all tracks can be changed but that the Österreichring should remain unchanged, just adding run-off areas would be fine, which eventually did happen up until the original track's final year in 1995. The track was known for having many crashes at the start of races because the start-finish was very narrow and it did not provide enough space for cars attempting to pass others, especially cars that stalled or broke at the start. Motorcycle rider Hans-Peter Klampfer died after a collision with another rider at the Bosch curve, and 29-year-old Hans Wustinger was also killed after a crash at the Styria curve at a race for the Austrian Touring Car Championship, and this sealed the decision to build a new circuit. Triple world champion and long-time hero of the home crowd Niki Lauda is the only Austrian driver to win his home Grand Prix. He won the 1984 Austrian Grand Prix at the Österreichring driving a McLaren TAG Porsche. Lauda went on to win his third and final championship in 1984, beating his teammate Alain Prost by the smallest margin in F1 history, only half a point. He announced his permanent retirement from driving at the circuit before the 1985 race. A1 Ring. The Österreichring's safety concerns had reached a head in the mid-1990s, and in 1995 and 1996 it was totally rebuilt, at the same site, by Hermann Tietke. Its length was shortened from 5.942 km to 4.326 km, and the fast sweeping corners were replaced by 3 tight right-handers, in order to create overtaking opportunities. Its 3 long straights, as well as a twisty infield section, asked for a setup compromise. As much of the construction work was paid for by the mobile phone provider A1, the track was renamed the A1 Ring. It proceeded to host 7 Formula One Austrian Grand Prix between 1997 and 2003, as well as several DTM races and Austrian motorcycle races in 1996 and 1997. Red Bull Ring. The grandstands and pit buildings were demolished in 2004, rendering the track unusable for any motorsport category. In late 2004 and early 2005, there were intense discussions concerning whether the owner of the circuit, Red Bull, would find another use for the site, or return motorsports to the venue. There was a circuit extension proposal using part of the old Österreichring. As of January 2005, return of motorsports seemed more unlikely than ever, as Dietrich Mateschitz publicly announced that he had no intention of wasting money on a deficitary circuit. In 2006, Austrian racing driver Alexander Wurz claimed he would buy the circuit and have it renovated, but the idea never came to fruition. Throughout 2005, there was speculation of Red Bull Racing renovating the track to use it as a test venue. In 2007, talks involving Red Bull, KTM, VW and Magna International for an Österreichring failed, after VW pulled out. Late in 2008, Red Bull began their A70M reconstruction of the track, and DTM chiefs considered a return to the circuit in 2009. In September 2010, it was confirmed that the circuit would host a round of the 2011 DTM season, now known as the Red Bull Ring. In November 2010, F2 announced that Round 6 of the 2011 F2 Championship would take place at the Red Bull Ring. The circuit was reopened at a special event over the weekend of May 15 and 16, 2011, which included displays of various Red Bull-sponsored teams including Red Bull Racing. The FIA Historic Formula One Championship was invited to provide the headline race attraction with a race on each day for Formula One cars from the 3-litre period. In December 2012, Red Bull contacted the FIA to say the track would be available to host a round of the Formula One World Championship in 2013, after a slot became available following the postponement of the Grand Prix of America. In July 2013, Red Bull announced that the Austrian Grand Prix would return as a round of the Formula One World Championship in 2014. The Austrian Grand Prix was held on June 22, 2014. References. External links: Red Bull Ring race results at Racing Reference, map and circuit history of the Red Bull Ring at racingcircuits.info, Trackpedia's Guide to Racing the A1 Ring, Tietke, A1 Ring, Österreich, 2014 Austrian GP Preview The Red Bull Ring.